All right. You can try to mute your mics. Okay. Good evening. Another episode of Wonder Lowe. I try with mute your mic. There we go. Welcome to another episode of the Ladies Lounge with Wonder Lowe. I'm your host, Wonder Lowe. Glad to see everybody this evening. I apologize. Tuesday, we are dealing with a family illness, so I had to kind of be off and take care of some business, so I wasn't able to do the show Tuesday evening. I was out running around and taking care of some things, but God is still good and everything is working out, and all of that is being taken care of. So, um, just appreciate you all tuning in each week to listen to the show or to watch the show if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. I appreciate that. This is not my normal night. I don't normally do a show on Thursday night, but because I had some things going on Tuesday, I just had to switch it up just a little bit. So we'll go back to Tuesday night next week and make sure you tune in because my guest will be Chef Wavon Leaper, and we will be cooking some holiday goodies. So I want to make sure that you know to tune in next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Again, right here on the Ladies Lounge. Make sure that you tune in to see that show. If you're having some problems with trying to figure out some little snazzy things to make for the holidays, I think she's going to give us some good ideas. So next Tuesday, I think that's what, the 21st, what is the day? The 19th, so that's the 26th, 27th. Yeah, I don't know. I've been lost this whole month. I think after the 4th was over, I had to do some training for about 3 days at the beginning of the month. I have been lost ever since then. So check your calendars and just know whatever day is next Tuesday, come back 7 o'clock right here and we'll be on. And like I said, we'll have a great show for you. Tonight we have, thank you, Dr. Flowers, it's the 24th. Thank you, November 24th. Because, baby, my mind couldn't even count that far ahead. So, November 24th, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, come back here for the Ladies Lounge again. And like I said, we'll have Chef Wavon Leaper on making some holiday treats. Oh, my goodness. Let's do our quick little news break. Or let me, before I do that, let me do my housekeeping stuff. If you have not liked the page yet, please do. I appreciate it. I'm approaching 400 likes, and I know people going, wow, you've been on this long, and that's as far as you've gotten. Okay. I'll do a lot of advertising. I'll do a lot of talking about the show and letting people know, and I'm trying to get better about that. So if you have not, if you have not already liked the page, please go and do so. And it is the Ladies Lounge Wonder Lowe on Facebook. And it's also the Ladies Lounge Wonder Lowe on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. So make sure that you tune in and that you watch the show. And it's recordings on YouTube, and I do it simultaneously when we broadcast on Facebook on Tuesday night. So make sure you do that for me. The other thing is go and look at the videos. You know, a lot of people that are on Facebook now is, there's a way that you can monetize those things. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I do is get enough video views. And a lot of that depends on how many of you all tune in and watch the video. So the old shows from all the way back, I think when I first started doing this a couple of years ago up to now are all on my page. So make sure that you go and check out those shows, make your comments, and let me know if you have questions still. I'm in contact with every guest I've ever had on my show still. So if you have questions or comments or anything that you want to share, please do that also. Tonight, if you want to make a comment on the show, please go to the comment section, make a comment, ask a question, because we're going to be talking about a topic that is really technically on everybody's mind. And we're talking about celebrating the holidays in the midst of a pandemic. We've done a couple of shows about the pandemic and about different things, education, about just living, how people are doing mental health, especially during this time. And now here we are still in the midst of a pandemic, and it's Thanksgiving time, it's Christmas time, and this is the time of the year where we've been so used to being with our families and being with our friends and having our large gatherings. And this year, that's not, the wisest thing for us to do. So tonight, I have two wonderful guests that I love having on the show because they add. These are my super girls, my super women, because they're smart, they know some stuff, and they don't mind telling folks what to do. And they tell me what to do too, so and I do it because I listen to them because they're smart. So I have Dr. Theresa Flowers back with me again. She's a licensed social worker. She's a PhD, and she is the owner and head counselor at Seed of Faith Counseling. And I'm not gonna call your whole name because I'm scared I'm gonna say it wrong, but Miss Q Mumford, and Q is the curvy conscious guru. So this is the lady who tells us every year about this time how to deal with our holiday eating, our holiday behavior, just a little bit. And I know Dr. Flowers is going to give us some amazing things to kind of help us through this. But ladies, let's just jump into the topic because we are in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I showed you what it was, so it tells you and we normally have a large meal. But this year, we're not going to be able to do that. So first, let me get you a chance to tell a little bit about yourselves. And then we'll get into our questions. All right. Whichever one y'all want to go first, tell a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into our questions.
I don't mind going first. I'm Dr. Theresa Flowers, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And as Wonder said, I'm the owner and lead therapist at Seed of Faith Counseling and Services here in Little Rock, Arkansas. Originally, I am a Arkansan, born and raised. Grew up in Nashville, and a Philander alumnus. And just excited to be here. I always love doing this. I love talking to people about mental health and making sure that people understand that our mental health is just as important as our physical health and spiritual health and well-being. You can't separate those things. They are all interconnected. And so hoping that through broadcasts like this and conversations that we lessen the stigma and start the conversations and that people seek out the help and support that they need so that they can be whole and well.
All right. Miss Q?
Hey, I'm Quinata Mumford, your certified health education specialist and the founder of the Curvy Consciousness Movement. I own Mumford and Associates, which is a health education and promotion firm that uses evidence-based practices in order to promote behavior change. And as you guys can see, I have a little guest.
Okay, tell her, introduce herself.
This would be little Miss Nova Rose.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, she'll have something to offer in the conversation also, so she's fine. Thank you, ladies, again. I so appreciate you all coming on tonight. Now let's talk about this because I'll be honest with you. I'm having trouble dealing with the fact we are in a pandemic. I'm used to a large family gathering this time of year. I actually look forward to this time of year. What are some of the things that you all are hearing or feeling, or some of the things that people are dealing with around this time right now? Uh-oh, did we lose her?
No, she's there.
Hey, sorry guys. So you hit a perfect question, and first of all, let me apologize for the interruption. As we continue to navigate the pandemic, we're having to do things in untraditional ways. That includes having interruptions and having to work in settings where our kids are present, and we're having to just be pivot. We have to pivot and just be flexible. So one of the things that people are struggling with is being, confined to their home, especially our vulnerable populations, those that are dealing with chronic disease and illness or have, they're immunocompromised some type of way. And so being in close quarters with your family all the time, honey, it can be stressful. For me, I'm bringing my kids back home because I'm expecting in a couple of weeks. So being pregnant, I have to take extra precautions to make sure that I keep myself safe, but also that I make sure that my home is safe so that when we get ready to bring him home, we're not bringing him home to people that have been out in the public and contaminated. So that's one thing that people are having to do. They're having to just get used to being at home and being still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's been that's the hurdle for everybody, because I think it's okay. We know that we have to be safe. We know we have to social distance when we go out. I think people, for the most part, we understand we need to wear the mask and wash our hands. But you know as well as I do, this time of year, that kind of thinking kind of just goes out of the window because we're so used to being in our groups and having our family gatherings. And holiday parties, because that's what everybody's doing, what everybody's trying to do right now. Dr. Flowers, what do you think about that?
Uh, you ladies are on point with that. And to add to that, just from a mental health standpoint, I'm noticing that more people are talking about having anxiety. And these are people who've never had anxiety. They don't have a history or diagnosis of anxiety. And it's just heightened a lot of things because, especially this time of year, people have experienced a lot through the year already. And so this is usually a time of year families can get together and love on each other. So people aren't just getting together for a funeral, they're getting together for a happy reason, just to love on each other and to celebrate, to be thankful for what they still have. And that's going to look really different for a lot of families. I know within a week's time, our family has had to do exactly that and pivot. And some changes are having to be made as far as, hey, is it safe for particular people in the family to travel and even just to be with a small group of family, but is that safe for them due to health purposes, and having to really weigh those odds and make those decisions with the numbers going up. I've heard a lot of people having to cancel small gatherings they had planned, or people implementing new things. I'm always open, honest, and transparent. And so hosting a small Friendsgiving with friends Saturday, and I had to send out, I've had one or two people say, hey, I can't come. I totally understand. And so I also had to send a reminder out that, hey, we're going to be masked up. We're going to have the windows open. When you get here, everyone must wash their hands. We will have hand sanitizer, but we've put some precautions in place that, hey, we all understand that this may not be 100% perfect, but we're going to put in some measurements for each of us. And if you don't feel well, don't come. You can video chat us and talk. Don't have the, what is it? FOL, fear of FOM, out. Yeah. But, not getting caught up in that. So, but I did, look into some public health stuff and I had to do some trainings recently for work. And that was one of the things I seen that, hey, if you're going to have a gathering, open your windows if you can't be outside. Make sure people wash their hands, use the sanitizer, and stay masked up except for when you're eating. And try to have that distance as much as possible. So just precautions. And that's kind of the space that myself and the people that I know have operated in, that we're still living. We're not out here like YOLO. Exactly. We're not being reckless, but we're also like, you have to continue to live because people are still dying from other things too. Life is still happening. And so trying to find that balance. But I definitely have seen people talk a lot about anxiety. That's been because the coping skills people typically have, if you work out, well, it's starting to get cold. If you like, I'm not about that running in the cold. I'm not doing that. I'm not that. Going to the gym, a lot of gyms have reopened, but people are sweating. And I can say I go to the gym and people have been good about keeping their mask on, except for if they're on a machine or something. And I don't really see people lifting weights without it screaming and spitting going on. Some folks be lifting weights, and it's just so.
I will have problems with that.
But a lot of people aren't going to the gym, and so there are some things that people can do if you can find it. Have you tried to look for home weights? Look it up and see if you can find some just small free weights for the house. It's hard to find them in stores. A lot of people have turned to working out in their homes, but for a lot of people, it's like everything is in my home. I have to be here. All my kids are here. Or if you have older family members in the home. So people are going beyond what they can handle because they're not able to use the typical coping skills they may have used in the past. So anxiety has definitely been a big piece. And very quickly with the season change, I had someone tell me recently, that was like my mood. I don't feel like myself. feel tired. And I was like, yeah, there's this thing called SAD. It's
Right.
seasonal affective depressive disorder, and it's very real. And
Yes.
so when you're in the house and it gets dark, it's 7:15, but it looks like it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's been dark for a good hour and a half, I think.
Mhm.
So people are still thrown off. And if you're in the house and having to deal with this, it just becomes a bit much for people. So,
Found myself having at least every hours or so, even if I just stick my head out of the door, having to get up and just really go outside and get some air. Because
mhm,
just like you just said, you'll sit in the house, time has changed, that throws you off, and you're trying to recover from that. It is literally dark by 5 o'clock. I keep thinking it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm sleepy, but I'm awake. But then I'm restless. Then my anxiety is high because I've been in the house. So it is, and this time of year is it's hard for people. I can remember when I worked in the hospital, and
mm,
something very strange. This time of year, people don't realize, but hospital admissions go up.
yes,
You have people that literally would check themselves in the hospital just to not be alone during this time. And the what is it, seasonal affect disorder? It's
mhm,
over and the depression sets in and the other things set in. You know, for us, my sister and our mom passed November 6th, but in 2000.
mhm,
So November has always been rough. It's been rough the last couple of years because that was my cooking buddy. That was who I stayed up with all night, whether we was on the phone with each other. We would literally fall asleep on the phone cooking, wake up and go back and cook something, but keep talking. And then I haven't had that for years. So it's usually really rough for me because she passed right at the beginning of November. So that was the first Thanksgiving, the first Christmas, our birthdays in February. That was our first birthday year. Everything happened like immediately. So this time of year is just hard for people without a pandemic. So
mhm.
on top of that, it's got to be a little bit more stressful. Um, I like the fact that you said that when you have your gathering, the windows will be open and hand sanitizer, and you've already told people ahead of time, come with your mask on and be ready. Because I think the other part of it is we get very comfortable being in the house and going, oh, it's family, nobody's sick, but you don't know who's sick. A lot of people are asymptomatic.
Yes.
They might not get sick from it, but you may.
Mhm.
You have underlying health conditions. So I like the fact that you said that. Um, what are some of the signs that you see that people exhibit around the holidays? What's some of the signs of holiday stress?
A lot of it can be you know, overeating. For some people, holidays aren't fun either, not even just because of loss, but because of toxic family members. Like I've been seeing a lot of posts about giving people permission to not go to the holiday event. There are some people who are really excited this year because they have a valid excuse not to show up. They
Yep.
have a valid reason to not be present with somebody saying, oh, so you ain't come to grandma's house? No, I ain't come to grandma's house, and I don't want to come over there with her and none of y'all, because y'all used to beat the hell out of me when I was a kid. Or Uncle May raped me and nobody said anything, and y'all let him be at the front of the table and bless the food. So, no, I'm not coming. So, let me say that out loud in case somebody missed it. Dr. Precious is giving you permission that you don't have to show up for these things, not just with the pandemic, but after it as well. You're not responsible for other people's emotions. You're responsible for your own. You take care of you. Other people can deal with their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that this, for some people, it's the grief and sadness because they've had a loss, and it's like you said, especially this time of year, you guys have so much stuff close together that your mom was a vital part of your life. So that stuff's going to come up naturally. And then when everybody is celebrating, that's someone you cooked with. So that's a natural response. For other people, the stress, because we're moving closer to the end of the year financially, this becomes stressful. There are people who are stressing because they don't know how they're going to have a Thanksgiving meal for their family because they can't afford it. They haven't been working. And when you look at traditional Thanksgiving meals, that stuff gets expensive.
It does.
And people expect that you're supposed to cook like on the movie Soul Food. You're supposed to have this huge spread. And so I think one thing, as we talk about issues, at least from my standpoint, I'm going to give some possible solutions or ways to handle that as well, because that's equally as important. That give yourself permission that if you are hosting a holiday dinner for Friendsgiving, we're doing potluck style. Now, everybody not cooking. All my friends can cook, and that's cool. They contribute financially, but there are a few key people who are preparing stuff, so it's not on one person. But I know Black folks gonna be ready to take me to the stake on this one, but it's okay to buy stuff pre-made too. Yes. You gotta find ways to not stress yourself out. If you want a turkey but don't want to make it, find some. I know plenty of local chefs who are doing it. People are making pies and cakes. I would stay away from some of that so much and probably go more with the, I don't even know. And you're a public health official, so you might help me on that one. But I just think that it's okay to not put all that stress on yourself. If you need to buy some, I'm not a huge fan of patty pies. I'll make my own sweet potato pie. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just gonna make my own. But some people get so stressed financially right now that it's normally an issue, but it's a major issue now because when did people get the stimulus? Months ago.
But not just that, kids have been home. Kids are studying, and that has driven people's grocery bills out the window.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but with the cases going up, them babies got to eat after Thanksgiving, and they don't want turkey. So feed yourself, trying to buy all of this stuff, and then when it's time to keep the kids at home, you don't have what you need to provide for the kids.
And places where people normally get food, listen, everybody, and when I say everybody is hurting in some shape, form, or fashion, where a lot of people who wouldn't typically go to food banks or go to churches to get that assistance are doing it. So you can't say, oh, I can go to the food bank next week. No. You might go, but it won't be how it may have been in the past. And so being reasonable, making a smaller version of a Thanksgiving meal. And that's one thing I'm thankful for in our family. As we got older, we started to mold that to look like what represented us at the time. For my mom and my 4 siblings and, nieces and nephews. But it went from, we got 14, 15 things on the menu to we got signature items. You're going to get some dressing. You're going to get this sweet potato pie. Everything else is in macaroni and cheese. Everything else is negotiable. And so I think financially, emotionally, people, and then just the stress of it all, of who you invite.
Yeah.
And can't come.
I've seen all those people say that the first thing Black folks ask is, who all over there? And I show up according to who all over there. And you know what? And I like that you said that this does give you, and not even for now, even after, hey, you know what? COVID is going on. I'm not coming over there. And I totally agree with that, because you get put in the room with people, we've been taught that you're supposed to love your family unconditionally. And to a certain extent, you probably still do. But when you've been abused and you've been treated a certain way, and now you want me to subject myself to that on a day that we're supposed to actually celebrate and enjoy family, that's a little difficult for me to do. I'm already stressed out. My anxiety is already high because the pandemic is going on. Maybe I hadn't been working. Like you said, I might be stressing because all I could bring to the potluck was this one little thing, because we have to eat next week. And, and like you said, we put that pressure on ourselves to have that 15 menu spread when we don't really need that. My kids are grown now. And I told you earlier before the show, my son and his wife are cooking. So guess what? I'm very happy to bring that one dish, that one side, and that one dessert. Let's call it a day and be done. Let them do all the heavy lifting now. I don't have to do that. Now, I'm still going to cook in my house because you know how we are. We like our own food. I'm going to do that. But I know how to scale it down. And I can do that now. But I like that. You have to be really careful not to add some more stress to yourself by showing up in a toxic situation around family members that are going to really take your nerves to a whole nother level. Because this is not the time to do it right now. So if you can avoid those things, then please do. Let's talk about some of the coping mechanisms, because what's going to happen is somebody is going to come to the dinner, and Uncle Ray or cousin Bobo or whatever, somebody going to say something off the side. So what are some of the ways we can deal with that? Let's talk about coping mechanisms. What can we do to kind of lessen the stress other than scaling down the menu and not showing up? Just say we got to show up. What can we do once we get there and those people are there? That person over there is there.
My favorite word, boundaries. Boundaries. If you don't know what they are, look it up. Get you some. What that means is that if someone brings up a topic you don't want to talk about, and you don't always have to tell people off. You don't have to raise your voice and get live with people. You can politely tell someone, I'm not going to have that conversation, and stop. That speaks volumes. I'm not telling you what somebody told me. I'm not telling you something they taught me at school either. I'm telling you something I know. Mm-hmm. Boundaries. I'm not talking about that. I'm not giving my energy to that. And if people continue to talk, you can just walk away. Go outside, go find something to do. And baby, if you're anything like me, just go back to your house.
I like that, but I'm just going home.
I like it here. It's peaceful. So setting healthy boundaries with people is definitely a key thing I would suggest, and finding ways to not let people drive you. Somebody gonna say something to somebody about their weight. A lot of people gain weight during this time. Oh, you sure? Black folk, you sure ain't got big. Not you gain weight. You big, ain't you?
Like, grandma.
Nobody need to hear that from you.
My grandma was the world's worst at calling out people's weight. Oh, hey, yeah. And she would say, hey, bigger than me. Oh,
and see, this younger generation, they not like your generation. My generation will get live with people a little bit, but we still got this level of respect. This younger generation not with it. They gonna call you out. They gonna ask you why you still sleeping with such husband and why he ain't here. So do not come for these young folks talking crazy to them, because they don't operate from that old space of you do respect because your age. No, you do respect because you give it.
There you go. You're right about that. You are right.
I want to talk about that idea too. One of the things that me and my 16-year-old, we kind of talk about when we are going into environments that, if it's uncomfortable for either of us, just having signals. And then prior to us even getting out the car, we've already established exactly how long we're going to be there. Mm-hmm. And when the time is up, baby, we have scheduled you. Mm-hmm. This is how long we gonna be there. You got an hour. You got 30 minutes. If it gets real bad and she look like the only thing she got on her plate is rolls, you might only get 15 minutes. We gotta go. We got somewhere else to be. So have an exit strategy. Just know that once you get there, you're not trapped. You can leave.
That's true.
I don't think y'all understand how many people need this permission right now. Sometimes people just need permission, because we've been so groomed and trained that you got to take abuse, not just, sexual abuse that has happened to people, but physical and verbal, emotional abuse, that people believe they have to deal with that. No. If
your energy doesn't match your energy, then you have permission to leave.
Yes, leave. And if you need to make you a plate, get your plate, then leave.
Exactly.
Well, you can always show up with your own to-go plate or your own. Get your stuff and gone. Now, something I want to bring up, and it's on the subject, but kind of off, but then on. And it goes back to being around family members. And this was a conversation that my husband and myself had the other night about kids and touching. Listen to me and listen to me well. If you take your kids to a holiday function and they don't want to hug someone, they don't want to shake that person's hand, they don't want to be touched, please, for the sake of Jesus, don't make them do that. That drives me crazy. Don't make them do that. Because let me tell you something. When a kid has feelings about a person and they act a certain way around a person, trust me when I say, don't ever forsake that. Don't ignore it. And don't pretend that you don't know. Act like they don't know what's going on, because they do. When they don't want to hug cousin whoever or Mr. So-and-so, and I'm big time on that. Come sit over here by me or sit on my Do not this holiday season, even after this, before this, make your kids be in contact with people that they show you clearly they don't want to be in contact with. There is something there. Now, the person may not have done anything to them, but kids can sense bad or evil or however you want to put it, sometimes way before we do. And if a child is nervous around an adult or another child, it's not always an adult. If they're nervous around another person, or you can tell that they kind of fidgeting, or if that person comes close to them and they withdraw, do not make your kids hug people. I don't care if they ain't seen grandma and whenever. If they don't want to hug her, don't make them.
Mm-hmm. And don't send your kids in the kids' room. Mm-hmm. Don't send your kids back there in the back. You don't know what's going on back there. Mm-hmm. If your kids don't want to go to the room, don't send your kids back there.
Nope.
My kids don't hang out in back rooms, honey. If they want to be by their mama, they can be by their mama. They like their mama.
Mm-hmm. And that's perfectly fine. And I'm so glad you said that. And women too, let me make sure we are very clear. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many men I've talked to this year alone who have so many challenges around intimacy and vulnerability and sex because they've been inappropriately introduced to sex by grown women as girls. Mm-hmm. And so be careful about letting folks, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what your kids are saying. And to your point, Wonder, it is teaching kids how to have some self-determination and having rights over their personhood and who they are. They get to learn to set boundaries early on. I love my goddaughter, but if I talk to her and she say, I don't feel like talking to you right now, TT. In my mind, I'm going, all you had to do was say hi. But the other part of me respects the fact that you don't feel like talking to me and you don't have to. And I say, okay. And I let her go on. I've always tried to honor kids whenever, if a kid don't like me, okay, leave it alone. Why somebody got to like you with your grown self?
Exactly.
Ladies, and so parents, I think unfortunately are oftentimes people who kind of set their kids up for some of this, not intentionally, but by not paying attention and honoring their child, because we have to stop this, that children have to be seen and not heard. That's foolishness. Yeah. Stop.
Yes. Dr. Flowers, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm a strong advocate of, talking to my kids about environments that they've been in. And, I'm sorry, but even with family, you have to ask and verify, especially with your daughters, but even now with our sons. Mm-hmm. I ask my kids before we go into a setting, has this person made you uncomfortable? Has anybody touched you inappropriately? Let's make sure we understand that nobody, no matter what anybody tells you, you always tell me everything. Yes. It's to the point my daughter's like, Mama, you've been asking me these questions for 16 years, and baby, you got 2 more to go. You're 18, and I for sure that you ain't been touched, I'll stop asking. And it's not to traumatize them, but it's to keep the conversation open, so that they know that it's not okay for uncle, auntie, cousin, none of those people to violate your personal space.
No, I think that one thing I always tell parents is you know your child better than anybody. So you know if that could potentially become something that comes traumatic for a kid. But I think the check in and the way we check in with kids is because what you're doing is creating a space for open communication and honesty. I have nieces and nephews, and so I check in with my niece because she sees different family members and cousins, and I personally don't. I don't trust folks like that because I people do stuff and they so slick with it. And so talking to kids about good touch, bad touch. I talk to we tell parents when you're talking to their kids about their private parts, do not make up these cute names. Her vagina is a vagina. Don't call it a cookie because if you say if she says somebody touched her pocketbook or her cookie, and you think she's talking about that literally, then you will miss out on what she really meant. Your vagina, your butt, your anus, your breast, your mouth, and talking about what is appropriate, what's not appropriate. And so prepping your kids in that way. And let me just say, I know for some people who've experienced sexual abuse, especially as children, it can be hard to have those conversations. And so there are books out there. There's a book out there called Good Touch, Bad Touch. I can't think of the author's name right now, but you can Google books about talking to kids based on age about appropriate touch, inappropriate touch. And if your child tells you something, you need to believe them and let me say this with my chest. If your child tell you somebody touched them, I need for you to report it ASAP. Yep. I can't tell you how many people, how many kids I talk to, and they go, my cousin touched me. And then 10 years later, 7 years later, if they're acting out, their parents go, well, we talk to them. That's not okay.
Yeah, that's not.
You need to report it. You need to call the police. And I know for some folks that's a hard thing. If you don't want to call the police, call the child abuse hotline. I'll provide the number to you, Wonder, so you can post it under this. So that if somebody needs to call in a report, every adult is a mandated reporter. It's not just social workers or therapists or teachers. If you are made aware of any abuse toward a child, it is your responsibility as an adult to report that.
I'm glad you said that. I know somebody's probably watching going, wait a minute, I thought they was talking about celebrating the holidays during the pandemic. All of this goes together because you get in some situations, you're getting ready to be around family members. And let me just say this. Let me change that. Some of us have had bad experiences with other family members, and you're going to be walking into a house where these same family members are going to be. And if you have small children, they're going to be with you, or you have kids, period. Understand that just because it happened to you, that they didn't stop with you. You're probably not a family member. And understand that you may very well be bringing your kids into a situation where it can happen to them. And that's why it's very important, like you said, Dr. Flowers, if it happens, if somebody's touched or whatever, you need to I think I can say this, it's old, but I sat on a jury one year, and this has been some years ago now, where a young lady accused her stepfather of molesting her. And the mother, when we got to court that day, the mother sat with the stepfather. As a matter of fact, she sat in court and held his hand. While her 13-year-old child sat on the stand and very graphically described what he did to her. And I don't know a person sitting in that jury box that didn't want to just tear her apart. When we went back in to deliberate, everybody was upset because none of us could understand how, as a mother, if your child came and told you all the things that she said in that courtroom by herself, there was nobody there for her, not another family member, by herself. She sat in that courtroom and said, and you are sitting with the man that she's accusing, and you're holding his hand, and you're stroking his neck, and you're comforting him. I didn't. Half of us were in the room crying because everybody was so upset because we couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
My brain just couldn't function. I couldn't figure out why. How in the world would you? I don't give a girl.
Well, let me say this.
It's just a lot. And I don't understand a parent that won't take that seriously. I don't understand.
Well, let me say this. A lot of times, and this is the challenge when people have experienced their own set of trauma and abuse, when things have been pushed under the table, a lot of times when people experience trauma and horrible things have happened to them and no one acknowledged it or did anything about it, when they survive through it, they say, well, I turned out okay.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's easier to believe that for some people, to believe a child is making up something because now that means you're going to miss out. And so that's a whole nother thing. We could do a whole nother topic on this one because we could talk about it all day because when we look at abuse, a lot of times people only look at stuff one-sided and we just go based off pure emotion. And in my work, I'm forced to look at all sides, never to give permission or encouragement for that behavior, but understanding the spouse, whether it's man or woman. I want to make sure we say that male or female, because a lot of females are perpetrators. A lot of females are perpetrators. A lot of females are perpetrators of abuse. And they go under the radar because we focus so much on the men that these women are abusing girls and boys. And it's not okay. But this ties into the holidays because statistics show us that the holidays our numbers go up. Mm-hmm. Numbers go up. If you look at the statistics at any children's hospital, numbers go up for suicidal ideation, suicide attempts, and sexual abuse and physical abuse around the holidays. Everything gets compacted. And so it is very important that this conversation is a piece of this because it does matter. And so I just think that people have to be aware. And again, sometimes people just don't know. Ignorance, when we say ignorance, people take that to mean a bad thing. Ignorant means you just don't know. Stupid is another thing. I don't deal with stupid people because they just make a choice. As people say it's not a nice word, but whatever. I could deal with an ignorant person because they don't know any better. They don't know. But if you listening tonight, you can't claim ignorance no more. You know. So you know better, let's do better.
Well, stupid is when you make a choice to not only be ignorant, but not make any effort to change that. That's when you just didn't make the effort to. So, but yeah, we need to do a whole show just on that particular topic because that's something that I think about quite often. And I have 6 grandkids, so I'm very protective of them around anybody. And, I have conversations when they come and stay with me and we talk about good touches, bad touches, what makes you comfortable, what makes you uncomfortable, if there's a fear of a person. And, I'm that grandma. Now you see this wrap on my head. This wrap will be turned around the other way. I have it on back. I'm that grandma that come find you. Because I don't play about my grandbabies. I didn't play about my kids and I don't play about my grands. So I'm that grandma that ride up on you. If I hear you, you tell me something happened. So I don't want to go to jail. I don't like jumpsuits. I don't like orange ones particularly. But I'm just going to say this, don't mess with them. Because if you don't mess with them, then I don't have to come.
I have to mess with you. Mm-hmm.
That's the only way we can keep it straight like that. Now let's kind of switch gears a little bit. And Q, this is going to be where you shine. Let's talk about how do we stay on track with our healthy food and our healthy eating during this time, because we said earlier, this is also the time where all of that other stuff happens, but that we also stress eat holidays, and we got 16 courses in front of us, and we think we're supposed to eat all of them. So.
Well, and that's the thing. We get in the mindset that we have to eat all of them. You don't. It's okay. You don't have to try everybody's macaroni and cheese, and you don't have to eat at every house that you visit. It's okay to save some for tomorrow. It's not going anywhere. I promise. It's
Mhm.
not going anywhere. And so the biggest thing during the holidays is just being mindful and that knowing that going into it, now let me just be clear and transparent. I'm gonna eat, but I'm also going to make sure that I plan accordingly. So if I know that I'm going to eat a good dinner, then I don't need to have a full breakfast and a full lunch. I need to kind of, keep it light, so that, I can enjoy and indulge. And when you guys get done, instead of everybody going to sleep right away, take a walk. This is an opportunity to get outside and get moving. Y'all excuse her.
No, but
Get outside and get moving. Make some new traditions. Our family traditions typically don't involve being physically active. It's time for us, our people, to start thinking outside the box and knowing that, hey, if the kids have been, eating and we've let them indulge in cake and ice cream, let's go outside. What happened to getting a game of kickball going? What happened to, teaching the kids how to play hopscotch? Just getting them up and moving and active. Let's burn some of those calories. Let's enjoy some good food, but let's plan on burning some of those calories as well.
Okay, she's gonna be ready to go outside and run. But that is a good idea because you're right. Like I said earlier, you eat the first round. Everybody passes out in front of TV if they're not watching football. You get up and you eat the second round, which by that time normally is in the evening or whatever. And then you're trying to go to sleep and you're full. And we have to figure out ways to get up, start moving around, go outside, like you said, walk around, start your Thanksgiving tradition that you go out and play a game of flag football or something, but something that gets us up and moving. And I think I'm actually going to do that this year. I hadn't been doing it, I'll be honest. Because by the time I finish cooking and you finish decorating and you finish serving everybody and cleaning up and whatever, I just want to crash. I'm going to do a little bit different. We will go outside and play. I'll be with the great. That can keep.
Another thing is being creative with the fruits and vegetables. If you make a little turkey out of a fruit tray, a vegetable tray, the kids will grab it and they'll eat it because it's cute and it draws them in. But also by having fruits and vegetables readily available while people are waiting to get their meal, it allows them to, snack on something that's nutritious while they wait on the meal and they're not so hungry. So what happens is we supposed to eat at 1:00 and it's 5:00 and people been waiting all day to eat. And so we've got to give them some fillers that's not junk food. But then also use it as an opportunity to introduce kids to something new. Maybe they've never had kiwi before. Throw some kiwi in there. And guess what? They're going to be teasing their cousins and they're going to say, I bet you won't eat that. And they'll find out that they like something new.
Speaking of kiwis, golden kiwis are amazing. I just tried them this year, and anytime I try something, I introduce it to my niece. We did apricot little snacks one day, and she was like, "I like these." So, making it fun, I think that's perfect, and especially with the working out piece or just moving, doing something that involves movement. I think is really good because you're right. Growing up, we eat as kids. Well, it was a little different. When we were kids, we got to walk to the park and we stayed close enough to a park that we were able to go play. But now everybody want to sit down. The kids will play, but the adults go sit down. So I think it's important. That's a great point. And that also ties into your overall well-being from a mental health standpoint. Excuse me. I tell people you have to move. Set up a self-care plan. Be ready for this. If you know a lot of stressful stuff is going on, have your appointment for a massage a day or two afterwards. Have an appointment. I have a gym membership at Planet Fitness and I pay the extra money so I can use the hydro machine. So I may not be able to go get my massages as often as I want, but can you run this hydro machine again a few times? Let me go sit in the massage chair. The chiropractor, the mind, body, spirit connection is super important. And so taking care of all of those things, incorporating that stuff of being able to stretching. If you don't want to work out and do nothing else, stretch. YouTube, do some dancing.
Yep.
Like dancing is movement. It's working out. We like to dance. Turn on some music and get people up. You get grandma and everybody else and them dancing. You turn on some good music.
Yep.
And so these are also things that I encourage people to do from a mental health standpoint. Because if your body hurts and your emotions and spirit and soul hurting, it's hard to get out the bed. It's hard to talk to people. It's hard to keep doing. And you can only put on a front for people for so long before your body's going to tell it. The body keeps the score. And so anything you're dealing with emotionally, spiritually, your body's going to carry the weight of that. So I think that utilizing those points as well is going to be helpful.
Yep. Well, one of the things I used to do for the day of the holiday especially is I don't make breakfast. And if I do, I make a very simple breakfast casserole. So you're getting everything you need, and it's normally got sausage and meat. Meat or bread and some eggs or whatever in it, but it's something that you can eat a little square of, but it does fill you up. But then I also make a huge fruit salad, and I have that on the table. So all day long, everybody's eating fruit salad, or I have a big vegetable tray to the side. So that's what you snack on. Because when dinner's ready, then I want you to eat regular food, but I don't want you to be eating, like you said, not eating unhealthy all day long. And I'll make some kind of punch or, excuse me, some kind of drink for you to have, during the day. But that's what we normally did. We always had a big fruit salad, maybe a little breakfast casserole, and then a vegetable tray just for people to snack on. And then when dinner was ready, you can sit down and eat. And still, we may still overeat a little bit, but not as much because everybody's a little bit full already. So that kind of, keeps you from, like you said, number one, if you don't feed people all day long when it is time to eat, boy, you pig out in the worst way. That's when you sit there and eat 2 or 3 plates of food and you can't, barely get up from the table. But if they had those little things to snack on all during the day and then you eat your meal, you can eat that one normal plate of food and be kind of okay with that. But, like I said, go back to what we said originally, no more 16-course meals, narrowing it down and just having something very simple, a smaller amount, eating the smaller portion sizes, getting up after and going outside and moving around, which, like I said, I'll be with the grandkids. And if it's not cold, I know they're going to want to be outside. So I'll be outside with them. But just, doing something a little bit different, because although we're dealing with a pandemic, we know we still need to social distance and do all of our different stuff. You will still see some family members. You still have to take those precautions. And I love what you said, Dr. Flowers, about making sure everybody's got their mask on, washing their hands and having the hand sanitizer handy. And then that's what we ought to be doing anyway. So, if you are going to have people over, then I would say follow that model. That's a good idea. And opening the windows and making sure, this is Arkansas. And the chances of the sun be shining and it being 60 plus degrees outside on Thanksgiving are really high. And, we've had years where we've actually worn short pants on Thanksgiving. So if the weather is good and you can be outside where there is some fresh air, then do that. But yeah, take those precautions, because what we don't want to happen is, we don't want spending time with family to turn deadly. Somebody ends up getting sick or something happens. So, and particularly if you have underlying health conditions and if you're pregnant or you got some other stuff going on, we just want to be safe as we can possibly be. So I think we had maybe like 1 or 2 things. We got about 6 minutes to go. So how about we just give some final encouraging words for the holiday season, period, because there's a lot going on and people need to be encouraged and folks want to hear something kind of, heartfelt and warming. Yeah. So if y'all give some inspiration for the next couple of days or the rest of the year, so to speak, I guess. Go ahead.
I think the biggest thing that we have to be mindful of is to show ourselves grace and to show other people grace as well.
That is a good one.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. And just it anything I would say would relate into that, just recognizing, honoring yourself and doing things that's going to work for you and not take responsibility for other people's emotions. Everybody's been through a lot this year. I have not met one person who has not experienced something that has taken the breath out of them at least once throughout the year. So learning to listen to yourself and honor yourself without guilt or shame around that, and just being okay with the fact that you might need to sit this one out. Don't have that fear of missing out. You could Google, FaceTime, Facebook, whatever, with a loved one if you need to, but take care of yourself. You are your number. The word of God tells us to love our neighbor as ourself. And people tend to forget the last part. You can't love someone else if you're not loving yourself. It's not possible, because if you can't practice that with yourself. So start with you. I always tell people we can't pour from empty cups. Uh, and so we have to start with ourselves. So make sure you take care of yourself and then those around you, and do what feels good and feels right for you. And if someone doesn't show up, as Mrs. Mumford said, give yourself grace and give them grace, that everybody gets to choose what's going to be best for them right now and not take it personally.
Mm-hmm. Well, my thing I would say to everyone is be grateful. Be grateful. This has been a rough year. There have been some highlights in this year. There's been some sunshine this year, but there's been a whole lot of rain. And a lot of people have suffered a whole lot of things. And you know that for those people that have lost family members, God bless you. You always in our prayers. But just be grateful. I mean, we have so much more, so much to be grateful for. You know, we're in a situation where we've never in our lifetime seen this before. We've never experienced anything like this. And it has taken everybody by storm. It has taken everybody and kind of knocked everybody off their game, so to speak. And I love that she said, give yourself grace, because we have to. But at the same time, be grateful for whatever is going on. Be grateful that, we're still here. Be grateful that things are looking up. Be grateful that there's a vaccine on the horizon. Be grateful there's a cure on the horizon. Be grateful that there are people that are being cured or that are surviving, that are coming home to their families. And just be grateful that you're able, if you are able to be around family, then that's fine. If you're not, like she said, if you're not going to be able to make it to the dinner this year, hey, you just not making it to the dinner this year. But be grateful that there is a family that will miss you or that'll love you and call each other. I mean, we have all these nice technological things we can do now. We can do a Zoom Thanksgiving if we have to. We can do a StreamYard Thanksgiving if we have to. We have Facebook has all kind of features where you can do have a group room to go in. But
Mhm.
do those things that are going to be safe for you, that are going to keep your family safe, that are going to make you happy, that'll still keep you in touch with your family if that's what you want. God bless the folks that are traveling, that are someplace that they cannot make it back home in time
Mhm.
for them. But just be grateful. I mean, that's the only thing I can see, And I'll just share this. We have a brother right now who we just had to make a decision to put in hospital the other day. And as tough as that is, I'm grateful that he's still here. I'm grateful that he's still breathing on his own, that, we don't know if he's going to get better. And that's up to God if he chooses to do so, and it's God's will if he doesn't. But we have to pray for that strength to deal with it either way. But I'm grateful that my brother is still here. I'm grateful for my other brothers and sisters and our family. I'm grateful for my dad is still here, that we're able to spend time with him and that the grandkids and the great grandkids are, able to get him. It's just so many different things to be grateful for right now. So aside from us showing each other grace and showing ourselves grace, and I was like you said, giving ourselves that self, taking care of each other, I just finish it and say, just be grateful. So
Yes,
I'm grateful.
definitely.
I'm grateful for both of you ladies for taking some time to spend with me tonight and to have this conversation. I'm grateful for the folks that were tuned in, that were watched. I had a watch party going on my phone, and we were talking on the other side. But I'm grateful for those who tune in each time and that support me in the show. I'm grateful for the people that walk up to me. Let me tell you something. It's amazing that I told y'all I don't advertise. Basically, what you see online is what you see. I don't do a lot of advertising, but it's amazing to me how many people will see me in Walmart and go, "I watch your show." And I don't know they do or not. I mean, I can't see y'all. Y'all can see me. I can't see y'all. But I'm grateful for that. I appreciate that. So continue to support. If there's a way for me to be able to support either one of you ladies in anything. Oh, quick. I don't want to forget. Q, you had we lost her. Where'd she go? She had a form that what I'm going to do is just post it on my page, and it's a self-care bingo card. So I'll post it on my page along with the offer that she made, and I think it was to give somebody 3 months worth of her. Here, she just came back. Put it back in. I was talking about your bingo card that you.
Yes. So self-care is essential during this time of year, and so Mumford and Associates wants to extend an offer to the audience that's watching tonight. Self-care is so important that I have created a self-care bingo card. And if you will commit to taking the time to love on yourself and pamper yourself during this time, you can enter for a 3-month an opportunity to work with me for 3 months. Again, Curvy Consciousness is focused on empowering people to make the necessary behavioral change in order to balance their wellness wheel. Wellness is so much more than just diet and exercise. We tend to think that our health, or if we gain weight, that it's because we're not eating right. That may be a contributing factor, but if your emotional wellness is not good, your social wellness is not good, your financial wellness is not good, the environment you live in is not good, that all contributes to the decisions that you make. And so one of the things that you'll get with this 3-month program is an assessment of your wellness wheel, where we look at the 9 dimensions of wellness and identify where you have imbalance and how that imbalance is contributing to you having poor health outcomes. So I want to challenge you this holiday season to love on yourself. Give yourself permission to show grace to others. But during this time of COVID-19, it is so important that we show grace to ourselves. And no matter what anybody tells you, you are not obligated to allow other people to abuse you. It is okay for you to say that I am reclaiming my time, I'm reclaiming my space, and I'm reclaiming my person.
Amen. As amen goes right there. Again, thank you all so much. I appreciate y'all spending time with me this evening. Thank you all for those who tuned in. You can always watch the show a little bit later. I always post those shows at the top of my page. So if you haven't liked us already, please go to the Ladies Lounge Wonder Lowe and like the page. Also visit us on YouTube and subscribe there. So there's a little bell that if you'll click on that, it'll show you every time a new show is posted. But thank you again. I appreciate you all. I will see you next week. Now, I want you to make sure that you tune in next week on November 24th and that you tune in at 7 o'clock next Tuesday. And I'll have Chef Wavon Leeper on, and she's going to cook up us some tasty holiday treats. So make sure you tune back in for that. And I wanted to add one more thing. I don't know if anybody remembers I had Miss L'Oreal Hall on a couple of months ago. Now, she is the mother of Cleashindra Hall, who's been missing since the 90s. And she is trying to raise some money to get a bench that she has in Pine Bluff updated for the holidays. Please, please, ma'am, sir, if you can. And I was going to try to post her link here, but I don't remember it by heart. And I'll try to do that later before the night's over with. So just make sure you check back on the page. But please, ma'am or sir, if you can, make a donation or you can help her out with that. She is on Facebook, and her name is L'Oreal Hall. Please go to her page and just comment or let her know if there's something that you can do to help. I'll try to share her post on my Facebook, on my personal page under Wonder Lowe, and I'll try to share it on the Ladies Lounge. So that way you all can comment on it and try to help her out with that. Her daughter's been missing since the 90s, and she was still looking for her baby. And I want to just say, I say this to all of the parents who are missing their kids during this time of year. God bless you. We all hope always for a good outcome. We hope that your babies are found. And here in the near future, I'm going to start doing a series on missing people because that has been something that has been on me for some years. I don't know why I've always been interested in that, but we will be doing some shows in the future about missing kids in Arkansas. So if you are one of those parents, your kids are missing, and if you want that show or if you know somebody who's missing kids, please be in contact with me because I do want to have them on the show, and we want to do everything we can to help them reclaim or find their baby. So, again, thank you all. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Make sure that you like the page, subscribe on YouTube, and come back next week, next Tuesday, November 24th, 7 p.m. Right here. We'll be cooking. Thank you. I said bye.
Yes, and I apologize for
No,
Nova Rose.
No.
She is totally fine, baby. You don't have to
Yeah.
apologize.
She knows it's almost time for baby to come, and she is
Mhm.
definitely letting it be known that she needs all of mama's attention. So I do want to extend an apology to the audience, and just it's that time of year where kids are around all the time.
Yeah.
She is perfectly fine, sweetie. I'm not worried about that. So,
All right.
tell her
Well, ladies, this was beautiful. It was great working with you guys.
You
Dr.
too.
Flowers, I'd love to connect with you and see if we, can partner on some things as well.
Yes, I'll get your info from Wonder if that's okay.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. Thank you very
All
much.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, ladies,
Have a great day.
if you all just hang on for me, don't sign off, but we're going to tell everybody good night, and we will see you again next week. All right. Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
All right.